Good morning, everybody. Camera's being a little wonky.
Is it fixed?
Maybe. Stay tuned. All right, Shia LaBeouf, help us out here. Oh, it's frozen. Do it! There we go. Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. That was early. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success while you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Yeah, thanks, Shia LaBeouf. We're totally in the stream mindset now. Ooh, look at that flex. Morning, Perplexed. It has been a while. I took a pause from streaming. Was working on a bunch of stuff offline and whatnot, so I'm back. Welcome. We're going to be working on some chopping out this morning. We're going to be doing some grid variations. Specifically, cheese grid variations. Just kind of having fun with that this morning. Get the hands going again. Get back on the regular stream schedule. I finished a bunch of offline projects, and I'm looking forward to getting more regular again. That could be interpreted multiple ways. So we're going to do some cheese variations. There's over 800 cheese variations, or grid variations. There's 346 for a triplet, and then 477 for 16th note. But there's a ton of other stuff, like technique stuff, and then there's like 5 more chop exercises that I was working on. Some Vanguard ones with permission from the composer, so I'll give you a little teaser there. They are going to be coming out here soon. We're just finalizing some things on the back end with that, so stay tuned. Probably in the next 2 weeks, I'll release them. Maybe 3. It just depends. Little teaser there. But it involves flams. Tell you that. A couple of different exercises. Anyways, stay tuned. We're going to be doing cheese variations. I'm going to focus on some triplet ones, and we're going to do cheese on 1. And not at 179. I appreciate the thought, though. Oh, wow. They changed the... Interesting. So now when you're in this mode... Interesting layout. Huh. So there's a theater mode, which if you go down onto YouTube and click on this thing, or press T on your keyboard, it's now switches so that the comments in the description are like side by side with each other. That's interesting. Anyways, I'm a YouTube connoisseur. All right, 120. Full screen. What? Interesting. You can keep the description up. So we're going to get the hands going, the blood flowing. We'll stretch and massage. And then we'll play some other variations a lot faster. Well, this makes it easier to like select the BPM with this new layout. So I like that. Hit the bottom of the mic. Sorry. Yeah, like I feel like this is like super useful for anyone who's using these play-alongs. Like now you can just keep this up right here and just be like, boom, I want to play it at 174. Or nah, that's too fast. Let me slow it down. Let me play it at 123. Sweet. I approve, YouTube. So if I close it, then it goes into full screen. Interesting. Yeah, I like it. Cool. Good adjustment. Anyways, let's stretch and massage. It's been a while. It's been a while. I've been not drumming off stream. Writing a lot of music, but not doing the drumming part. We're doing palms up and pull in. You pull in, and then you push out. So your palms are kind of like up at an angle. It's a weird stretch, but it's a good stretch. So this is what it looks like from the side. It's funny looking. Hopefully the top-down view made it a little easier to see how to do that. And you just go back out the way that you came. If you do traditional, oh yeah, rotate and hold here. Or if you don't and you're just tight. I don't do traditional anymore. It's not my tradition. And then you rotate the other way. Anyways, now we're going to stretch the underside. Oh, that feels great. You could do it one at a time like this. You're just pulling the fingers back a little bit. Don't pull too hard. Or you could do it on your pad like this. Or you could do it on the wall. The lower you go, the deeper the stretch. Let's do it on the wall. Again, don't put your weight into this. You don't want to tear stuff. That's bad. Yeah. Feels good. Now we're going to do the top side. So you could do it one at a time like this. You could do it here on your pad. You could do it even on your legs like this. But if you do this one on the wall, the higher you go, the deeper the stretch. But again, don't put all your weight into it. And cool. Now we're going to stretch the fingers. So you notice I'm going from like larger to smaller muscle groups. That's by design. There's so many dog hairs on my mic. Minnie has been shedding our doggo. Because, it's summer in Arizona. Like, we took her for a walk last night, and it was in the evening, no sun, over 100 degrees. It's like 107 or something like that. That's a bit warm. But it's dry, so, not that bad. If it was like 90 degrees and like humidity, like on the East Coast or down back, like Southeast area, whew, no thanks. That would be rough. All right, so we're just going through and like doing finger to finger. It just goes twice as fast. You could take your time if you really want to and just do one at a time. But now I'm going to massage. So I'm going to do thumb on top and fingers underneath. Kind of massaging up and down the forearm. Ooh, wow. I used one of those like percussion massage gun things on my forearms, and I think I did it a little too hard. It does not feel great. It's like it just beat it up too much. Whoopsies. They're great for like shoulders and whatnot. It's like use it up here if I'm getting too tight, but on the forearm might have been too much. At least for the setting and the amount of pressure that I applied. I've used it many times before with on low or light pressure, and you're good. Cool. So after stretching, after massaging the top part, then we're going to massage the hands and then the fingers, and then we'll get back into playing some cheese grids. So right now I'm going to do thumb in the palm and fingers massaging the back side of the hand. You just want to get everything nice and relaxed. Do this after just like a couple minutes, a few minutes of drumming, get the blood flowing in your hands, and then get a going after you've massaged and stretched. Or it could lead to injuries. Ask me how I know. Myself and students who didn't do this consistently would get injured. That's bad. If you like drumming, take care of your hands. Pro tip. At least if you're doing it, like, regularly. Even if it's, like, every other day. That's probably enough that you'd get some overuse injuries. But if you're doing it all day, every day, like for drum corps and whatnot, when you're doing all days, yeah, you got to take care of your hands. Well, bad things can happen. All right, cool. So the last one that I was doing, by the way, you just massage from the base to the tip of your fingers and do that like 2-3 times, however many times you need to. Anyways, let's get back to this. So we just left off at 124, and now we can just jump to BPM. We'll go up by 10s. We're just going to chop out this morning with some different cheese grid variations for funsies. Let's do 141. A little tap off quicker. Whoa! Whoa! I started playing the wrong line. Dance break. Yeah! Let's go faster! Cool. Hands don't feel great after, you know, like a week of not drumming, but not bad, not bad. Let's go to 160. Let's see how it goes. Ugh. This is definitely going to be the breaking point. Let's stall by telling a story about my dog, Minnie. She learned how to go up and down a ramp this weekend. Good job, Minnie. Not bad for a 16-year-old. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Well, my hands just aren't cutting it. We found the breaking point. Correct. Congratulations. I can't speak. Okay, so this is normal cheese grid. So what's called 4-2-1 is another way of like calling it. Because, you know, drummers, we've got like a bajillion names for the exact same thing. Because that's how we roll. Okay, so this one is backwards grid, or also 1-2-4. So you switch the accent pattern. So instead of having the accent going on 1, on 2, and then on 3, you reverse it. So you go 3, 2, 1, so it goes backwards. And then the pattern that you use with this is you do 1 of each accent on 3, 2, 1. 1 is on 3, 2, 1. And then you do 2 of each accent, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. And then finally 4 of each accent, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so that's why it's called 1-2-4, also known as backward grid. And we're going to do this with cheeses. And we go into there. And yep. And we're going to start off at 100. Clickety clack. Ignore that. Whoa! Well, that was not great. All right, let's try it again. Crushing my left hand diddles. The left hand feels weird, like on the backside, on the tendons in particular, underneath the forearm. So, kind of anticipating this being a shorter stream. I just want to make sure I don't overdo it after so much time off. Mm-hmm. 130. We're just gonna keep going till it crashes and burns. One might argue that the first rep was crashing and burning. Ew. Yeah, the interp of the diddles are very inconsistent right now. This is why I shouldn't have been taking breaks, but, you know, sometimes life happens where you have to work on other stuff besides practicing. But hey, again, we got those Vanguard exercises coming. Looking forward to that. Stay tuned. Very different style for those play-alongs that'll be coming out. Because of, like, copyright issues, I wanted to make sure that it didn't, like, display everything, because these pieces are for sale on TapSpace, but by displaying a small portion of it and hearing all of it, it allows you to practice with it, which is great. Stay tuned. What's my favorite, tenors or snare? Ooh. Okay. So, it depends. So I marched snare. So I did 2 years of snare in high school, 2 years in college. 4 out of my 5 years in drum corps were on snare. And then I would have had 6 years technically on snare if I hadn't gotten into that car accident. So snare's like clearly my favorite overall. Because of my perfectionistic tendencies, I'm a fan of like how precise you have to be compared to tenors. But tenors are more fun to play, like in terms of just like, hey, check this out, wee, play it behind my back, like that kind of stuff. So tenors, I really enjoy, and like now that I'm playing match grip more, enjoying playing through it. But snares where my heart's at, mainly because of the perfectionist side of things. Like, I'm just, like, goofing around playing chop stuff today, but if I were to actually sit here and practice these, like, I could spend, like, an hour just refining just cheeses, and for me, that's calming. Like, I genuinely enjoy that. But they're both fun in different ways. That's probably the breaking point. For the moment, at least. Cool. So, again, that's backwards grid. So it's 1, 2, 4 instead of 4, 2, 1. And specifically with cheeses. So let's do some other variations. There's like cheese on 2. You could do forward or backwards. There's cheese on 3. You could do forward or backwards. But there's some other ones like this one. So you could do cheese on accents. So this is the forward version of that. And again, you just go into the timestamps. And you can jump to whatever BPM you would like. Shh, shh, shh. That's too fast. Too fast. Too furious. Let's start at 120. But Ghost, what do you think? Tenors or snare? Do you have a preference? Or bass? Why not bass? My wife loves the bass. I never march it. Snare? Nice. Yeah, so those Vanguard exercises that I was working on the last few days, they're the snare parts for it. So those will be coming out. Stay tuned. I'm teasing. Not going to tell you what they are. I have played them on stream. Trying to get in snare for high school? Okay. I'm going to take a second to help you out here. Actually, since you're on Instagram, I'll show you what it looks like here. So, under the profile, it's got the 4 different links. You could go to my home tab of YouTube, and if you go here, on the home page, just click, boop, on the drumming content one, and it shows you all of the drumming playlists, all neatly organized. There's a ton of drumming playlists on here. But for snare, the thing that I'd recommend most is specifically focusing on the technique exercises. That's your number one priority as a snare drummer, is all about technique. And then focus on grid variations, because that helps you to be able to get control of the rudiments. Specifically focus on rudiment on 1. So like flam drag on 1, and then cheese on 1, flam 5 on 1. You don't have to worry about some of the weirder stuff like book reports and cheese Chicagos and all that fun stuff. They're fun to play, but you don't have to worry about them. And then finally, the last thing to focus on, the smallest percentage of your time, are the chop stuff. So as a snare drummer, I highly recommend focusing on that particular order. But if you don't want to go to the YouTube channel, the nicest way to get through all this organized is here, /drum on my website, which is the second link on Instagram. And when you're there, ignore the chop stuff for the most part. Spend maybe 10, 20% at most of your time focusing on this stuff. Scroll down to the technique exercises and focus on these. Focus on your diddles, or focus on your accent taps, or your diddle timing, or your flams, etc. These are the exercises that will be the bread and butter, so to speak. And then you can do grid. Like the grid variations, some of the sticking ones are good, but focus on diddle, flam, cheese, drags, and 5 on 1. And if you can get those down slowly, then it will really set you apart from the rest of the snares. Like the rest of the snares, for most high school drum lines, will focus on this chop stuff, but that's not the important part. The important part is, can you play consistently? Like, can you play one measure, like roll passage, and make it sound the same way 10 times in a row? If you can do that, but you can't play it as fast as somebody who it sounds different every single time, you'll get picked over that person. And then there's a bunch of tips down at the bottom of this page that shows you like what I'd recommend for practicing. They're all like compilation of tips videos from these streams. But anyways, whoop. Let's play this faster. 130? I think I just played. No, I didn't. Oh well, it's now going to 140. Nice. Yeah, so really focus on playing relaxed, controlled, rhythmically precise. And that's what's gonna really help you out. Whoa! I was playing cheese on 1. Whoopsies. I forgot. It's the cheese on accent. So this is a good one if you're just having difficulty with like different cheese phrases. You can work on this on an accent. But some of my favorite ones are actually the next couple variations. So cheese before an accent and cheese after an accent. These are some fun little challenges you can play. So this, woo, that's brisk, baby. Okay, so this we're gonna start off at 120 again. And we're gonna go here. Do 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 do. Oops, double click that. Didn't mean to do that. Yeah, I really like having the BPM right next to the side. That's fantastic. It's like YouTube updated it to make it easier for us to use these play-alongs. Thanks, YouTube. Appreciate you. Started playing the wrong variation. Whoops. If the BPM ends with a 0 or a 5, it gives you like this like little bit of a break so you can get yourself set up. So you can like press play and then run back, grab your sticks. Otherwise, like this for 141, it just immediately taps you off. So you can do like 5 reps in a row of just constant tap off, and then boom, gives you a little bit of a break. So you can get to a different BPM, whatever. Double tap. All right, 160, probably the breaking point. Maybe we can do 170. Hands still feel rusty. Got to get out the WD-40. A little extra rim shot on the left. A little Salt Bay seasoning on there for you. Make it a little more exciting. Woo! Okay. Probably the breaking point. Try that again. Okay, that's it for that one, at least for right now. And again, there's a backwards version of this. If you want to do cheese before an accent, but make it 1, 2, 4 for the pattern, cool. I got you. It's that one. All right, let's do cheese after an accent. There's also some weirder ones like cheese every 4 notes, cheese every 5 notes. Those are interesting. And then there's 2 accent version of grids. I got a bunch of these that are either already out or are going to be coming out soon, so stay tuned for more. Cheese after. There we go. Nope. Start off at 120. Yeah, it's just so helpful to have the, excuse me, just hiccuping nonstop. Sorry for that display of violence. It's nice having these timestamps on the right side now. You can just pick a BPM, good to go. Cheese after an accent grid. 130. This one and the Cheats Before an Accent are fun to like really play fast. Ew. The hard part is making sure those diddles stay nice and low. You don't want to raise up your grace note or raise up the diddles for that. Thank you for the likes on YouTube. You don't want to raise those up. Oh, and on TikTok. Thank you for that too. Appreciate it. Oops. 150. You don't want them to look like that. Okay, 160. Yikes. I think I can attempt 170. Let's try it. Good question, Ghost. Answer that in a second. Whoa! That was mental. I was thinking about the response. I actually have a short that talks about this, but no, I don't own any physical equipment like a marching snare or tenors or anything like that. I use only pads. The return on investment for like making sure that you're playing on the exact type of head, surface, etc., it's just not worth it. Like, I've had this pad for a long time, maybe 20 years. Time flies. Almost 20 years. These I've had for over 20 years, both of these tenor pads. So there's a pad on pad. And they work just fine. Like, it's not worth it to spend the money on getting those pads, in my opinion. Or getting the actual drums. Especially, like, with neighbors. Like, you'll notice on here, on the drum kit, these are, like, heads you can actually see, or the cymbals, you can see through them. They're the low volume cymbals and the low volume heads as well, so I don't annoy like neighbors. So like if you live in an apartment complex or something, you don't want to, annoy people above you, below, on your side. So I personally just invest in my neighbor's sanity. My wife, fortunately, is a percussionist as well, so she doesn't mind. Like we could both literally be watching a movie and drumming, and it doesn't bother the other person, so that's great. But it would bother my neighbors if like I was drumming on a marching snare or tenors or whatever. Should definitely get people to join your live. Can help them clean up with some tech tips. Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Yes, I agree with you. The goal is to get people to actually use these play-alongs. Like if somebody were to go like here and like play through this at 41 beats a minute, the like amount of improvement you can get practicing this stuff slow, it's wild. What am I also streaming on? YouTube is the main home, but Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, technically Kick, and Twitter, but the comments disabled. But YouTube is the main home. But yeah, so if like somebody were to like practice these exercises at like 40 beats a minute, 50 beats a minute, etc., then it like would help so much with people's playing. But in terms of like tips and whatnot, so I've got the link that's here, since you're on Instagram, /drum on my website. At the very bottom of it, currently there are 32 videos that have like tips that I've shared in these streams, and they're all kind of compiled here. But these play-alongs, like I was telling Ghost earlier, if you're focusing on snare, like if you're able to go through these like 89 tech exercises and really just refine these, like your diddle timing exercise, this, if you, ooh, that's loud. If you slow this down and just really sit with it, the amount of improvement that you get just doing that alone, it's just night and day. These are all the exercises and resources I wish I had when I was, like, you know, still marching back in the day. But yeah, so SRS. So since you're asking about like where I'm at, on YouTube is where you can find all this stuff organized as well. So if you don't want to go to the website, that's totally fine. You don't have to. It's just harder to organize this stuff on YouTube. But just click on the header here under the home tab, and that's how you can get through the 1,000 play-alongs for free. Is just go there. And then if you want to see the drumming tips, like all of them are organized into this playlist. The ones that say members first or members only, depending on what your end says, these are just like early access. So if you're a member, you'll eventually get access to these. There's a new one scheduled every other day. Like one of them was released this morning. This one. And so these have just like a bunch of tips in it. So this video talks about 2 types of slicing and how to fix them. Then it talks about what a diddle is versus an inverted diddle. The next thing is chug with split rolls. And then the concept of teaching less for more results. Then it talks about some other stuff. So like there's a bunch of just like compilation of tips that I give from these streams, all in these videos. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. Whoa! 2 Jareds. 1 Jared is just enough. Where can you find the link? Since you're on Instagram, under the home tab, or the profile page. So if you go to Insta, if you want to go to the YouTube channel, it's right there. And if you want to go to the drumming one, it's /drum. It's also just this link that's right here on Instagram. myname.com/drum. If you go to /game, it takes you to the gaming stuff. If you go to like /gear, it shows you like what kind of sticks, pads I'm using, etc. So just trying to make it easy. And they're all free. So they're coming out every day. New play along, new resource, etc. But /drum is the easiest place to go to for all of this. There's 5 more chop exercises that I'll be adding soon. Some Vanguard ones. Stay tuned. And then there's like 800 some odd grid variations. There's almost 100 technique exercises. I want to get it to 100 by the end of the year, but I realistically don't know if I can, because I currently have stuff scheduled through November every single day. Yes, 100% free. All of these. So all of these like tips that I'm giving are like in these these drumming tips videos are lessons that I've learned from my professors. Like I have a bachelor's, master's, and PhD in music education. So I've been able to study with literally some of the best in the world. On the education side of things, but also the performance side of things. So these are all tips that I paid a lot of money for in lessons, and so they're free. All the play-alongs are as well. They are ad supported, so it'll give you like a pre-roll, maybe a mid-roll. But I wanted to create the exercises that I wish I had when I was still marching, so. And I understand how expensive it is. Like, again, having studied with people who are charging like $75 an hour and whatnot, I like understand that most people can't afford that. So I want to help out with that. Like all of when I was working, like when I was a manager at Blockbuster, which if you're young enough, you're like, what is Blockbuster? It's where you go get a physical copy of a movie and then you'd rent it out. Anyways, all that money would basically go towards like lessons or studying with a few people at a time, so I could get better at drumming. Play add a tap with what? I don't know what that means. with bassa in the offhand. What is bassa? Do you mean bossa? Like bossa nova? Yeah. So you remember Blockbuster? Cool. Yeah, I used to be a manager there. So if you go to /CV, or you go up here on the website and go to curriculum vitae, you can see my full professional background. But I taught drumline for over a decade. From 2003, I started teaching drumline when I graduated high school. And then I stopped after my first semester of residency for my doctorate, because I was just like, I don't have time. I need to focus on research. So that was like a 10-year process, 11 years, something like that. But yeah, if you go to /CV on my website or just click on curriculum vitae, you can see all of that stuff. But if you scroll down to the like teaching, I've taught every grade, kindergarten through doctoral student. So you can see like all of that like on here on the CV. And if you scroll a little bit further, it's less boring. Like, here's me back when I marched on snare, when I was a center snare. Back in the day when I had hair. But anyways. Oh, a bossa? So play... Okay, so, Jordan, don't worry, I do typos all the time. So on Wednesday, I'll be doing a drum kit stream. But if you go to the /drum page, or since you're on YouTube, on the home tab, there's a playlist that has like all the prior streams. And so... Oh, interesting. It doesn't show all of these. Oh, I got to fix that. That's definitely a glitch. So it only shows a number. So there's some videos that are missing right here. I'll fix that right after the stream. My bad. But yeah, there are like all the videos of me practicing on drum kit. So I talk about how to work on limb independence. So this video right here under the drum kit one is a stream where I specifically outline the process that I'm using when I'm practicing limb independence. So if you check this video out, that will help you out with that. You're curious about teaching at schools? About to teach at your first band camp? Oh, there's so much to talk about. As somebody with 3 degrees in music education, like, I still am learning how to teach better, and I've won like international awards as an educator. So like, you'll never be good enough. Which is the not very positive way of saying that. What I'm trying to say is like, try and learn from as many people as possible. So learn both what you enjoy from somebody and like, wow, this worked really good for me or my peers or my students or whatever. And then also think about what didn't work well. And if you focus on those 2 things, you can learn from anyone. So I've had some phenomenal educators and some terrible ones, but I've learned from both of them, both sets. So just focus on treating your students as human beings, because they are, and they have lives outside of this world, which is something I didn't understand when I first started teaching. I was like, drum is life. Everyone should view it the same way as I do. And that was wrong. So go into it and like cater your teaching to helping students improve, not just in drumming, but also in life. Like Glenn Crosby, who worked with Academy and who worked with Vanguard and like a bunch of other places, he taught not only how to drum, but also like many life ideas through drumming. And so if you can find a way to do that, then you can be a phenomenal educator. So don't just focus on the drumming side of things. There's so much more outside of it that you can help by mentoring and guiding and whatnot. Who are my drumming idols? Glenn Crosby is one. He was like kind of like a drumming father figure. Murray Gussick is the GOAT. He taught Vanguard in the early 2000s and 90s, and he marched there. 04 Vanguard is phenomenal. If you have not seen their lock clips, like, they are so clean, and they were so loud in person because their technique was just super relaxed and whatnot. And they just play those drums fully. It was great. Paul Rennick's obviously a GOAT. Scott Johnson is phenomenal. Like, there's just so many rudimental dudes. And then outside of that, like, 2 from Sleep Token is phenomenal. The band, he's very musical. let's see, I don't know. There's just so many people. I guess I also recommend, in terms of like the teaching side of things, also just learn from many perspectives as possible. Not only like on your primary instrument, but all percussion instruments. So like I actually refined my like snare technique. So based off of timpani. So I had a professor who taught me a technique where you put your elbows out like this and you do a rotary French grip like this. And then eventually we slowly moved it into a rotary grip like right here. So this was like the training wheels version. And then eventually you do rotary like this. And then I actually modified my snare technique. So I actually am able to play faster, more relaxed, and with more power by adding a slight rotation to it. I only learned that because of timpani. So it's not just a straight up and down wrist motion. It's not all finger, etc. But I've learned all of those from different people. And that has heavily informed like why I do what I do. So I know how to play like different forms of traditional. I know how to play different forms of match grip, whether it's like Germanic, American, or French. I know how to do finger French. I know how to do rotary French. I know how to do all sorts of things. And all of those inform why I do what I do and understanding why other people do what they do. Because like there's trade-offs with any kind of technique. So with a finger technique, you might be able to play faster, but you're going to have less sound quality, and it might be more inconsistent in terms of like using more of the smaller muscle groups rather than the larger muscle groups. So you could switch over to like a wrist approach where you're using a little bit of molar and forearm, etc. And that's going to make it so you have more power behind it and might be able to control it a little bit easier and have more consistent playing because you're using larger muscle groups, but it means you're going to play a little bit slower. So knowing which one is good in different scenarios and different contexts is extremely beneficial. Most of your mentors were taught by Murray. That's awesome. Yeah, Murray is phenomenal. Just consistently, he was a really good educator, also just like a great performer, and great writer. Like some really cool stuff that he wrote for like the lot exercises, like literally changed the game about like what people do in the lot. Like a lot of the modern day Blue Coats and even Blue Devils and like Boston were heavily informed by Murray's like lot jams, like even stuff like Flamus or Cheesy Poofs that led to like Crackus, and which led to just like all sorts of other things that like people now have been inspired to then create their own things, like Latin Lover, which was Brian Perez, I think, who was a student of Murray's. He marched tenors for Vanguard, actually in 04 and 03, I think. But not stingy with the drum hacks. Some people are very walled off with the things that they share. So they want people to basically buy their course or to sign up for lessons. My wife and I are fortunate enough with our finances that it's okay for me to give away this content for free. Like all of this stuff, whoops, wrong pedal, on the website is all free. So I don't have to like worry about charging for all these tips. Like I used to do private lessons. I have like 20, 30 students like each weekend for like 30-minute, hour-long lessons. And like that was a packed weekend and it was fun. Like I enjoyed it, but I'd rather give the content away for free and give these play-alongs away for free rather than charge people. Especially because my hourly rate now is so high because of like all the nonprofit work that I did and the fact that I have a PhD and am an award-winning like researcher, educator, etc. Not trying to brag, just being objective. Like my hourly rate for consulting is like $250 an hour. That's the minimum that I'd accept for it. And so if I were to do like private lessons for that, I'd have like no students. So objectively speaking, it would be not financially smart to like teach privately. Even if I was doing like 50 an hour, like it's not worth that. My time is better spent creating these free resources, and then I can make money off of AdSense from it, or just sharing it for free. I'd rather share it for free because again, like marching percussion is an expensive sport, with all the lessons and then like all the like the sticks and the shoes and the like everything. It's not cheap, especially the lesson side of things. So if I can give this stuff away for free, then cool. Nah, you don't need to worry about it. Semi-drum. Yeah, so Unbreakable, just stop by in future streams. So I plan on like doing most days around this time for like an hour. And so I have people who will come in and like ask questions, and that leads to me sharing like a free resource or like a tip or whatever, like in these videos, which I'm gonna have to change this so it actually shows all of them on here. But anyways, yeah, so if you just ask questions, feel free, stop by. Like tomorrow, I'll be actually refining technique and whatnot, and we'll just try and get a little bit better with that. Wednesday, I'll do some limb independent stuff, which I'm not very good at, but I'm okay practicing publicly. So stop by. You'll likely, like, once you start teaching, you'll learn way more than you ever would just listening to somebody else talk about it. After your first week of, like, actually teaching, you'll just be like, wow, I learned so much. But stop in a future stream and just like, hey, I have ABC issue going on with a student, like their like technique is wonky. Any advice on how to convey this in different ways? Just ask, and I'll either say I don't know, or I'll say here's what I tried, or here's where you might go to get some information on that. But I'm gonna call it here. My hands are rusty this morning, but again, YouTube, or at the link up here /drum is where you find literally over 1,000 free play alongs. There's 2,400 hours. 2,400 hours. That's 2,400 hours of free drumming content. And again, if it says members first or members only, that's just early access. I've got stuff scheduled in through November of free play alongs, a new one every single day, or a drumming tip. So stay tuned for more. But anyways, I'm going to call it here, and I'm going to get set up for some Fortnite, which has absolutely nothing to do with this. But, you know, just having fun. Anyways, I appreciate you all, and yeah, check out the site. Cool. I just got a bot on Twitch. Yeah, I appreciate that. And we're just going to go ahead and ban you. Uh-huh. Goodbye. Matane. All right, anyways, I'm out. Goodbye.